Margaret Hill had never been inside a courtroom before that Tuesday morning. 62 years old, hands rough from 30 years folding sheets at a laundromat in Norfolk, Virginia, she still believed if you told the truth slowly enough, people would eventually hear it. She wore her church shoes, carried a paper folder against her chest, and sat quietly behind her daughter, Renee, the first black woman in their county to become a Navy SEAL. Renee had survived combat overseas, but somehow, back home, she looked smaller than she ever had in uniform. The charge sounded ridiculous when they first heard it. Assaulting a police officer, resisting arrest, threatening violence during a traffic stop. The local news already called Renee aggressive. The comments online were uglier than Margaret could stomach reading twice. And the officer accusing her sat 10 feet away with his arms folded like a hero waiting for applause. Officer Daniel Mercer. Tall, clean haircut, smirk glued to his face. Every time Renee tried to whisper something to her attorney, Mercer leaned back, grinning like he already knew the ending. The prosecutor loved him. The judge barely looked at Renee at all. By noon, the courtroom felt less like a place for truth and more like a theater where everyone already memorized their lines. Then the video played. Only part of it. Body cam footage that started after the confrontation began. Renee was already pinned against the squad car, shouting for someone to stop hurting her shoulder. Mercer pointed at the screen dramatically. See that aggression? Some people in the gallery nodded. Margaret felt her stomach drop, because she knew her daughter's shoulder had been shattered years earlier during deployment. One wrong movement could leave her arm numb for days. Renee had explained that. Repeatedly. The judge sighed loudly every time she spoke. At one point he actually said, "Miss Hill, military service does not place you above the law." And Mercer smiled again. That smile broke something inside Margaret. Not because of the insult, because she realized they were enjoying this. Enjoying watching a decorated black veteran sit there humiliated while strangers whispered about her like she was trash dragged in off the street. Then came the moment Margaret almost lost hope entirely. The prosecutor asked Renee why a trained Navy SEAL couldn't simply comply with basic instructions. People laughed. Actually laughed. Renee looked down at the table. And for the first time in her life, Margaret saw her daughter look afraid. Not of prison, of becoming invisible. That's when Margaret stood up. Nobody invited her to speak. Her own daughter whispered, "Mama, don't." But Margaret was already holding the paper folder in trembling hands. Inside it was something Mercer never knew existed. A second recording. Not bodycam footage. Dashcam footage. Copied weeks earlier by a mechanic who serviced police vehicles and happened to recognize Renee from the neighborhood. The official file had somehow lost the first 4 minutes of the stop. The judge looked irritated when Margaret approached the bench. Until the video started. The courtroom went silent so fast you could hear someone cough in the hallway. There was Mercer's voice before Renee even stepped out of the car. "You people always think military patches make you untouchable." Then another officer laughing. Then Mercer saying the words that froze the entire room. "Watch me drag this SEAL princess out." You could see Renee complying. Hands visible. Voice calm. No threat. No aggression. Just Mercer escalating, pushing, grabbing her injured shoulder after she warned him twice not to touch it. And then came the part Mercer never expected anyone to hear. After Renee cried out in pain, he leaned close and whispered, "Nobody's gonna believe you anyway." The judge removed his glasses. The prosecutor stopped speaking altogether. And Officer Daniel Mercer, the man who walked in grinning like a king, started shaking so badly he couldn't stand when they ordered his arrest. But the part people still talk about today wasn't the handcuffs. It was Renee. Because while Mercer begged the court not to ruin his life, my daughter stood there in silence, rubbing the same shoulder he injured, and refused to look at him even once.